Summary of the Open Window by Saki. Frampton Nuttall is taking a trip to the peaceful English countryside to calm himself. When he gets to Mrs. Sappleton's house, her 15-year-old niece Vera greets him with confidence. Mr. Nuttall tries in vain to figure out how to greet a young girl, but deep down he worries that these meets with strangers, set up by his sister, probably won't help him. When Vera asks her friend how much he knows about the area, Mr. Nuttall says he doesn't know much about her aunt. She then points out a big window that is wide open and starts telling a story about Mrs. Sappleton's great tragedy. If you look through that window 3 years ago, Mrs. Sappleton's husband, 2 brothers, and spaniel went on a shooting trip. While they were gone, they got engulfed in a treacherous piece of bog. Vera includes specifics about the trip that helped to ground her story, like the man wearing the white jacket and how her Uncle Ronnie teased her sister by singing "Birdie, why do you bound?" She says that her aunt leaves the window open because she thinks the guys will still come home. Vera also says that she has a creepy feeling that the dead men will really walk through the window on quiet nights. Just then, Mrs. Sappleton walks in, which makes Mr. Nuttall happy, and she asks her friend if Vera has been making him laugh. She then says she's sorry for the open window and says that her husband and brothers come in that way after shooting trips so as not to get the rugs dirty. Mr. Nuttall is terrified by her happy rambling about hunting and tries to change the subject by talking about his sickness and different ways to treat it. His eyes keep going to the window, and he thinks it's an unfortunate coincidence that he came to see her on the anniversary of such a sad event. Before brightening to attention to something outside, Mrs. Sappleton just barely holds back a yawn. Mrs. Sappleton is thrilled to say that her brother and his wife have come just in time for tea. For a moment, Mr. Nuttall feels sorry for her foolhardiness, but then he sees Vera's scared face. He turns to look out the window and sees 3 men walking across the yard with a dog. One of the men has a white jacket over his arm, and the other is singing, "Birdie, why do you bound?" This is exactly what happened in Vera's story. Mr. Nuttall runs out of the house and down the road in fear. As they walk into the house, the man in the white coat asks Mrs. Sappleton who the guy running by is. What did she say? He was a most extraordinary gentleman who left so quickly that one would think he had seen a ghost and didn't even say goodbye. Right away, Vera says that Mr. Nuttall ran away because of the spaniel and that he is afraid of dogs because of a bad experience in India. At the end of the story, it says romance at short notice was her specialty.
About the author. Saki was born in 1870 to an inspector general of the Burma police. He lived in Asia with his mother until she died in 1872. Then, when Saki was 2 years old, he and his siblings were sent to live in England with their strict grandmother and aunts. Many experts say that these strict women later inspired many of the authority figures in Saki's work. Saki joined the Imperial Police of Burma for a short time, just like his father did, but he got sick and had to go back to England. After that, he moved to London to become a writer and political satirist. He worked as a foreign reporter in Russia, the Balkans, and France. The Rise of the Russian Empire, his first book, was a history that didn't do well. But he quickly became known for writing a lot of deeply funny short stories, many of which were aimed at the tastes and habits of the British upper class. At age 43, Munro, who was already a well-known author, volunteered to fight in World War I. He was shot and killed by a German shooter in France in 1916.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.